Once upon a time, in a remote corner of a cursed forest, there stood a foreboding cottage nestled amidst gnarled trees and overgrown foliage. The cottage seemed untouched by the passage of time, its weathered wooden walls exuding an eerie aura that sent shivers down the spines of those who dared to approach. This was the dwelling of Snow White and her 7 companions. But this was not the familiar tale of innocence and enchantment. Snow White was not the fair, innocent maiden of lore, but a curious and adventurous young woman who yearned to explore the mysteries of the world. Her raven-black hair cascaded down her shoulders, and her eyes, deep pools of obsidian, held a hint of mischief. Snow White's fascination with the occult and the forbidden led her to the darkest corners of knowledge, often stumbling upon the forbidden texts and hidden tomes that whispered secrets of the forbidden cosmic realms. Her 7 companions were not the delightful dwarves of yore, but rather enigmatic entities that had been drawn to Snow White's peculiar inclination. Each entity possessed a twisted form and an ancient name whispered only in the forgotten languages of eldritch horrors. First among them was Ji-Tha, a creature with writhing tentacles that replaced where arms should be. His bulbous eyes glowed with an unearthly light as he comprehended secrets not meant for mortal comprehension. Second came Njal, a shrouded figure wrapped in tattered robes, his face hidden beneath a mask of unknowable horror. His whispered words echoed with forbidden knowledge, unraveling the sanity of those who dared listen. The third entity was Azog, a corpulent creature whose form pulsed with maddening patterns, his voice a sickening cacophony of madness and desire. The remaining 4 entities were equally unsettling in their appearance and demeanor. Kul, an abomination born of ancient nightmares, had a monstrous countenance that twisted the very fabric of reality. His presence evoked a sense of impending doom and madness. Shogna, a skeletal being wrapped in shadows, moved with an unsettling grace, his presence announcing the arrival of hidden horrors. Nixel, a creature of shifting forms and elusive features, brought forth visions of forgotten realms and writhing abominations. And finally, there was Ofla, a being of ethereal beauty with delicate wings, her voice a haunting melody that lulled mortals into a state of enchanted helplessness. Snow White and her companions delved deeper into the forbidden arts, uncovering hidden truths that should have remained buried. Together, they studied ancient tomes, deciphered cryptic symbols, and performed unholy rituals to unveil the cosmic mysteries that lay beyond mortal comprehension. Their pursuit of forbidden knowledge did not go unnoticed. However, in the heart of the forest, an ancient and malevolent entity known as Igloth stirred from its eons-long slumber. Gloth, a grotesque monstrosity of tentacles, eyes, and fangs, embodied the unspeakable horrors of the void, and it craved the secrets that Snow White and her companions had unearthed. Driven by a primal hunger for knowledge, Igloth set forth to consume Snow White and her companions, seeking to absorb their forbidden knowledge and merge their souls with its own, thus becoming an all-knowing god of chaos and madness. As Igloth approached the cottage, its presence tainted the very air, suffusing the surroundings with a palpable dread. Snow White and her companions sensed the impending doom and prepared for the battle against the eldritch horror. The clash between Igloth and Snow White's companions was cataclysmic. Spells of ancient power were cast, dimensions were torn asunder, and reality itself threatened to unravel. Yet, against all odds, the companions managed to hold their ground, their will to protect their beloved Snow White fueling their determination. In a final, desperate act, Snow White unleashed a forbidden incantation, calling upon powers that should never have been awakened. The very fabric of reality trembled as a swirling vortex of cosmic energy formed around her, threatening to consume all. With a resounding blast of otherworldly energy, Snow White managed to banish Aigloth back to its dark domain, sealing the entrance forever. The cost, however, was high. Snow White herself had become tainted by the eldritch energies, her mind forever touched by the forbidden truths she had sought. The companions, having survived the encounter, gazed upon Snow White, their beloved leader now forever bound to the cosmic horrors she had faced. They pledged their eternal loyalty, vowing to protect her from the dark forces that would forever seek her. And so, Snow White and her 7 eldritch companions retreated deeper into the cursed forest, away from the prying eyes of the world. Their cottage, now a sanctuary for the forbidden and a beacon of the Lovecraftian mysteries, would remain a testament to their eternal vigilance and the price they paid for seeking the forbidden knowledge of the cosmos. In the years that followed the banishment of Aigloth, Snow White and her 7 eldritch companions settled into an uneasy existence within the cursed forest. The cottage, once a place of enchantment and wonder, now emanated a sinister aura, its very walls whispering secrets that sent shivers down the spines of any who ventured near. Snow White, forever changed by her encounter with the eldritch horrors, became both a beacon and a magnet for dark forces lurking in the shadows. Her mind teetered on the precipice of sanity, haunted by visions of cosmic entities and unfathomable truths. Yet, she remained resolute in her pursuit of understanding and protecting the world from the forbidden knowledge that threatened to consume it. The companions, bound by their loyalty and love for Snow White, stood ever vigilant, their twisted forms a testament to the sacrifices they had made. Together, they delved deeper into the darkest corners of arcane wisdom, uncovering ancient artifacts and deciphering cryptic manuscripts in their ceaseless quest for enlightenment. But as time wore on, the line between curiosity and obsession began to blur. Snow White's thirst for knowledge grew insatiable, and she pushed her companions to their limits, their bodies and minds straining under the weight of the forbidden truths they sought to unravel. The eldritch energies that pulsed within them threatened to consume their very essence, twisting their forms and warping their souls. Nile, the shrouded figure with the haunting whispers, was the first to succumb. His mind fractured under the weight of the cosmic revelations, leaving him a mere shell of his former self. The others watched in sorrow as he retreated into the darkest recesses of the cottage, consumed by his own madness. One by one, the companions followed suit. Azog's insatiable desires led him to delve into forbidden rituals, his flesh becoming a writhing mass of abomination. Jethar, once a being of curious intellect, was consumed by his own tentacled appendages, his thoughts lost in a sea of madness. Zul's monstrous countenance grew ever more terrifying, his mere presence warping the fabric of reality. Shognar faded into shadows, his skeletal form dissolving into the darkness from which he was born. Nixel's shifting forms became uncontrollable, writhing in perpetual agony. Ofla, her ethereal beauty tarnished, wept tears of blood, her voice now a haunting dirge. And so, Snow White stood alone, surrounded by the remnants of her once faithful companions. The cottage, now a labyrinth of forgotten secrets and shattered dreams, was a testament to the price paid for seeking forbidden wisdom. Yet, even in her solitude, Snow White refused to despair. She was a guardian of the hidden knowledge, a protector of the world from the unspeakable horrors that lurked beyond mortal comprehension. Days turned to months, and months turned to years as Snow White waged a solitary battle against the encroaching darkness. She studied ancient tomes, her fingertips tracing the faded glyphs that revealed untold truths. She consulted with spirits from beyond the veil, their voices guiding her through the ethereal realms of the unknown. The boundaries of her mind stretched further, embracing the madness that threatened to consume her, using it as a weapon against the encroaching forces. But even as Snow White persisted, a new threat began to emerge. Whispers spread throughout the cursed forest of an ancient cult, devotees of the eldritch entities that Snow White and her companions had fought against. These fanatical worshippers sought to harness the forbidden knowledge for their own dark purposes, their rituals calling forth horrors that threatened to plunge the world into eternal chaos. Snow White, sensing the impending danger, knew that she could not face this new threat alone. She reached out to the remnants of her companions, their tormented souls still bound to the cottage. In a solemn pact, they agreed to set aside their personal demons and reunite for a final battle against the cult. United once more, Snow White and her companions prepared for the confrontation. They fortified the cottage, etching ancient symbols of protection into its walls and invoking long-forgotten incantations. Snow White, her mind now a tempest of forbidden knowledge, crafted a spell of immense power, one that would shatter the very fabric of reality itself. The night of the final confrontation arrived, the air heavy with anticipation. The cultists, their faces twisted in fervent devotion, approached the cottage with dark intent. But as they crossed the threshold, they were met with a force beyond their comprehension. The cottage's defenses sprang to life, tendrils of eldritch energy lashing out, ensnaring and devouring the unwary intruders. Snow White and her companions, their forms pulsing with the eldritch power that coursed through them, unleashed their fury upon the cultists. Spells of cosmic destruction rent the air, tearing through flesh and bone, reducing the devotees to nothingness. The battle raged on, a cataclysmic clash of forbidden energies and primal desperation. In the end, the cult was vanquished, their plans undone by the very forces they sought to harness. But victory came at a great cost. Snow White and her companions stood battered and broken, their forms twisted and deformed beyond recognition. The cottage, once a place of solace and discovery, now lay in ruins, a haunting reminder of the battles fought within its walls. Snow White, her mind teetering on the edge of madness, gazed upon her fallen companions. They had given everything to protect the world from the darkness that threatened to consume it. The burden of their sacrifice weighed heavily upon her, and in that moment, a decision was made. She would leave the cursed forest behind, forsaking the remnants of the cottage and the horrors that haunted its ruins. As she emerged from the forest, she found herself in a world that seemed both familiar and alien. The echoes of her past adventures with her eldritch companions reverberated within her, as did the burden of their sacrifices. The weight of the knowledge she had gained and the horrors she had witnessed threatened to consume her sanity, but she remained resolute in her quest for redemption. Guided by an insatiable curiosity and a yearning to understand her own existence, Snow White embarked on a pilgrimage across distant lands. She sought out the most secluded and forbidden libraries, seeking forgotten tomes and ancient manuscripts that held fragments of cosmic wisdom. With each page turned, she hoped to find answers that would illuminate the path she now walked. In her travels, Snow White encountered scholars, mystics, and guardians of esoteric knowledge. She engaged in impassioned debates, absorbed their teachings, and shared her own experiences of the eldritch horrors. Some regarded her with reverence, seeing in her the embodiment of the forbidden truths they revered. Others viewed her as a dangerous harbinger of cosmic chaos, a force to be contained or destroyed. Snow White's reputation as a seeker of the forbidden drew the attention of secret societies and cults devoted to uncovering the darkest corners of reality. Some approached her with offers of alliance, believing that her knowledge would be the key to unlocking the ultimate mysteries. However, Snow White had learned from the mistakes of her past. She cautiously navigated these encounters, knowing all too well the dangers that lay in embracing the forbidden without caution. As time passed, Snow White's understanding of the horrors deepened, as did her acceptance of her own tenuous connection to the eldritch realms. She began to glimpse the subtle threads that connected the cosmic tapestry, perceiving the patterns of chaos and the ancient entities that dwelled beyond the veil. But with each revelation came a price, an ever-increasing isolation from humanity. Snow White's appearance had become a haunting reflection of her inner journey. Her raven-black hair grew paler, taking on an ethereal glow, and her eyes, once full of life and mischief, became distant and enigmatic. Her presence exuded a mixture of allure and trepidation, drawing both fascination and fear from those she encountered. While Snow White's path was solitary, there were moments when she encountered kindred souls, others who had glimpsed the cosmic abyss and sought to comprehend its enigmas. These chance meetings brought brief solace, for in those moments, Snow White felt understood and connected, as if the burden of her knowledge was shared. They exchanged fragments of forbidden lore, debated the nature of existence, and supported each other in their shared pursuit of enlightenment. One such encounter took place in the ancient city of Arkham. Snow White met a scholar named Professor Nathaniel Crowley, a man haunted by his own encounters with eldritch horrors. Together, they delved into ancient texts and deciphered cryptic symbols, pooling their knowledge to uncover deeper truths. They formed an unlikely alliance, a partnership born from a shared fascination with the darkest mysteries. With Crowley's guidance, Snow White's understanding of the cosmic entities expanded, and she learned to channel her own eldritch energies with greater control. She honed her abilities, not only as a means of self-defense, but also as a beacon of hope for those who would face the encroaching darkness. News of Snow White's exploits spread throughout the hidden enclaves of forbidden knowledge. Her name became synonymous with both reverence and dread. Whispers of her battles against cults and her understanding of the eldritch realms reached even the most reclusive seekers of arcane wisdom. Some saw her as a savior, a force destined to protect the world from the lurking chaos. Others viewed her as an abomination, an aberration that must be eradicated for the sake of humanity. Snow White's journey became a perpetual cycle of discovery, introspection, and conflict. She learned to embrace her solitude, drawing strength from the forbidden truths she had uncovered. Yet, with each victory over the encroaching darkness, a new threat emerged, as if the cosmic horrors sensed her presence and sought to snuff out the flickering light of her knowledge. Through it all, Snow White remained steadfast in her determination to use her acquired wisdom for the betterment of mankind. She believed that understanding the tenebrous mysteries could offer insights into the nature of existence, and perhaps even a way to shield humanity from the malevolent forces that lay beyond mortal comprehension. And so, Snow White continued her journey, a solitary figure walking the thin line between enlightenment and madness. The world would forever remember her as the enigmatic seeker of forbidden knowledge, the one who ventured into the realms of eldritch horrors and emerged with fragments of truth that both illuminated and darkened the path of humanity. Her story, a cautionary tale of the dangers of curiosity and the price paid for seeking forbidden enlightenment, echoed through the ages, a reminder that some truths are better left buried in the shadowed recesses of the cosmos.